I saw my daughter counting coins at a mall food court, and in that exact moment, I knew something in her life had gone terribly wrong. The mall was busy, loud, full of ordinary Wednesday afternoon noise. Teenagers laughing, mothers pushing strollers, the smell of coffee and fried food hanging in the air. I was there to return a blouse I did not need when my eyes landed on a familiar posture I would have recognized anywhere. Slightly hunched shoulders, hands moving too carefully. A woman sitting alone at a small plastic table, arranging coins into neat little piles. It took me a few seconds to understand that the woman was my daughter. Her name is Lily. She is 37 years old, or at least she was 37 the last time I saw her truly alive. The Lily in front of me wore worn sneakers with frayed laces and a faded supermarket uniform with a name tag barely clinging to the fabric. Her hair was pulled back hastily. Her face looked thinner, tired, older. She counted again, then pushed a few coins aside and stared at the rest like they had personally betrayed her. My heart dropped. 2 years earlier, I had helped Lily buy a reliable SUV after the birth of her son. She used to tease me about how careful I was with paperwork. She had laughed when I insisted on reading every line, that Lily loved bright dresses and strong coffee and talking too loudly when she was happy. This Lily looked like she was trying not to be seen. I walked toward her table slowly, afraid that if I moved too fast, she would vanish. When I said her name, she flinched. Mom. She looked up and forced a smile that did not reach her eyes. Hi. I sat down without asking. Up close, I saw the dark circles under her eyes, the way her fingers trembled when she gathered the coins back into her palm. What are you doing here, sweetheart? I asked gently. Just grabbing a coffee before my shift, she said. I glanced at the empty seat across from her. Where is Noah? My grandson should have been glued to her side at that hour. He was 4 and hated being apart from her. She hesitated. He is with Mark and his mother. They took him to the park. Mark, her husband, and his mother Evelyn. Where is your car, Lily? I asked. Her smile flickered. Mark needed it today. His car has been having issues. For how long? A pause that was just a second too long, a few weeks. I felt something cold settle in my chest. Then, how did you get here? The bus. It is fine, Mom, really. I looked at her clothes, her shoes. The coins clenched so tightly in her hand, they left red marks on her skin. Nothing about this was fine. I reached across the table and took her hand. It was cold, despite the warm afternoon. Lily, tell me what is happening. She pulled her hand away and stood up too fast, knocking her chair back. I have to go. I will miss my bus. She looked at me then, really looked at me, and her eyes were full of a quiet panic that made my stomach twist. Please, Mom, she whispered. Do not ask, just let it go. And that was the moment I understood something else. My daughter was not just struggling. She was afraid. I let Lily leave that afternoon, but I did not let the moment go. A mother never does. That night I sat at my kitchen table long after the dishes were done, replaying every pause in her voice, every excuse that came too quickly. By morning, I knew I would not wait for her to come to me again. I would find the truth myself. 2 days later, Lily agreed to meet me for lunch near her workplace. She arrived early and chose a corner booth with her back to the wall. She kept checking the door, her phone face down on the table like it might explode. You are watching the time, I said. She flinched. Mark expects me home by 3. Why? She picked at the edge of her napkin. He just does. I leaned forward. Lily, I am not here to judge. I am here to understand. Whatever is happening, you do not have to protect me from it." For a long moment, she said nothing. Then her shoulders sagged, like something heavy had finally slipped off them. "It did not happen all at once," she said quietly. "That is how they do it. They start with small things, so you do not notice you are losing ground." She told me how it began when Mark changed jobs last year. At least that was what he told her. He said money would be tight for a while. Evelyn suggested they combine finances to stay organized. Lily trusted them. She signed papers she did not fully read because she was exhausted and believed the people she loved would never hurt her. The joint account became Mark's account. Her paycheck went in. She could no longer see where the money went. When she asked, Evelyn told her she worried too much. Then came the credit cards. Evelyn said Lily was spending irresponsibly. Lily handed them over to keep the peace. Then came the rules. No buying anything without approval. No keeping cash. No separate savings. If I questioned it, Lily said, they told me I was ungrateful that Mark was sacrificing so much for us, that Noah needed stability. She swallowed hard. Then they started using him. My stomach tightened. What do you mean? Evelyn said that if I could not follow their system, maybe I was not fit to be a mother. She said courts look very closely at women who cannot manage money. She said she knew people who could help Mark get full custody if it ever came to that. I felt my hands curl into fists. Have they threatened you? Not directly, Lily said. They never say it out loud. They just remind me of what I could lose. Her voice dropped. They keep all the documents. Birth certificates, bank statements, the house papers, even my passport. If I need anything, I have to ask. And Noah. Her eyes filled with tears. If I am late, if I work overtime, if I argue, they say I am choosing myself over my child. I reached across the table again, and this time she did not pull away. Lily, this is not normal. This is not marriage. This is control. She nodded slowly. I know that now. But every time I think about fighting back, I hear Evelyn's voice telling me that one wrong move and I will never see my son again. The waitress came by to refill our water. Lily straightened instantly, wiping her eyes as if nothing had happened. When the waitress left, Lily leaned in and whispered, almost ashamed, Mom, I feel like I am disappearing, and I do not know how to stop it. I looked at my daughter and understood the truth fully for the first time. This was not a family disagreement. This was a cage they had built around her life. There was something Lily was still not telling me, Jesus. I could see it in the way her eyes slid away every time I asked where she went after work, in the way she never invited me over anymore. A mother knows when the truth is being rationed in pieces too painful to give all at once. I asked the question gently. Lily, where are you living right now? She froze. Not stiff, not defensive, just empty, like the answer had drained her of whatever strength she had left. With Mark and his mother, she said finally. That is not what I asked. Her lips pressed together. For a long moment, I thought she might stand up and leave again. Then she whispered, barely audible. I sleep in the garage. The words landed between us like broken glass. What do you mean, the garage? Evelyn said it was temporary, Lily said quickly, as if repeating something she had been trained to say. She said until I could prove I was more responsible, until things stabilized. I could not speak. My daughter kept going, rushing now, afraid I would interrupt. They put an air mattress out there, and a space heater. I am not allowed to sleep in the house because Noah needs routine. Evelyn says seeing me come and go confuses him. My vision blurred. Do you see your son every day? She shook her head. Only when they allow it. I stood up so fast the chair scraped loudly against the floor. People turned to look. I did not care. Take me there. Mom, no. Now! She stared at me, fear flickering across her face. Not fear of me. Fear of what would happen if anyone found out. Please, she said. If Evelyn knows I told you, she will say I am unstable. She will say I am trying to cause drama. I lowered my voice. Lily, I am not asking. I need to see this. That evening, after the sun dipped low, I followed Lily's bus across town. She got off near a quiet street lined with large houses and trimmed hedges. Evelyn's neighborhood, the kind she loved to brag about. I parked down the block and watched. Mark arrived first, driving the SUV that still had my registration paperwork in its glove compartment. He went straight into the house through the front door. A while later, the garage door lifted halfway, and there she was. My daughter sat on an air mattress pushed against a concrete wall, a single plastic bin beside her, a paper bag in her lap. The light above flickered weakly. The space heater glowed orange, too close to the bedding. She looked smaller out there, like she was trying to fold herself into a space that did not want her. I felt something inside me break open. This was not poverty. This was punishment. I raised my phone and took pictures, then video. My hands were steady, even though my heart was not. Years ago, I had learned how to document things properly. Dates, angles, context. From the house, I heard Evelyn's voice drift into the garage. Make sure you clean up before morning, she said sharply. This is not a storage unit. Lily nodded without looking up. I lowered the phone, my jaw clenched so tightly it ached. They were not just controlling her money. They were erasing her existence. And as I sat there in my car, watching my daughter eat dinner on a garage floor like she had done something wrong, I made a decision that changed everything. I was done watching. Now it was my turn to act. I did not confront Evelyn. I did not storm into that house or drag Lily out by the hand, even though every part of me wanted to. Anger would have felt good for a moment, but it would have cost my daughter everything. People like Evelyn thrived on reactions. They collected them, twisted them, used them as proof that they were the reasonable ones. So I drove home in silence and thought. The next morning, I called Lily before she left for work. My voice was calm, almost casual. I need you to keep doing exactly what you have been doing, I said. She went quiet. For a second, I thought the call had dropped. Mom, I cannot live like this much longer. I know, I said. That is why you have to hold on just a little longer. She exhaled shakily. Why? Because the most dangerous moment is when someone realizes they are losing control. If they suspect anything, they will tighten their grip. They will isolate you even more. I need them comfortable, confident, careless. There was a long pause. You are scaring me, she said. I know, but trust me, I would never ask you to do this if I did not see a way out. She whispered my name like she used to when she was little and afraid of the dark. What are you going to do? I will do what they do not expect, I said. I will be patient. After I hung up, I opened a notebook and wrote down everything I knew. Dates, changes, names, small inconsistencies that had bothered me for months but had never made sense until now. I laid it all out like a puzzle on my dining table. The more I looked, the clearer the pattern became. This was not chaos. It was design. They had moved Lily out of her own home. They had cut off her access to money. They had isolated her physically and emotionally. They were documenting her exhaustion while creating it. And they were preparing to claim her child as their reward. I felt cold as I realized how carefully it had all been planned. That afternoon, I made my first call. It was to a woman named Karen Lowell, someone I had worked alongside years ago before I retired. She now specialized in family law. I did not explain everything. I did not need to. I asked one question. What do you call it when a spouse controls all finances, removes access to assets, isolates the other parent, and uses the child as leverage? Her answer came without hesitation. That is financial abuse and coercive control. And it is taken very seriously when you can prove it. Good, I said, because I can. The second call was to a private investigator I trusted, not because I wanted revenge, but because truth needs witnesses. I need documentation, I told him. Living conditions, patterns, who goes where and when. Quietly. He understood immediately. By the time the sun went down, my plan was set. I would not rescue Lily by force. I would dismantle the system holding her captive. That night, Lily texted me a single sentence. Evelyn went through my things again. She took the cash I hid. I stared at the message for a long time before replying. Do not react. I wrote. Let her think she has won. A few minutes later, 3 dots appeared on my screen. What if she takes Noah away? She will not, I typed. And even if she tries, she will lose. I set my phone down and looked out the window into the dark. For the first time since I saw my daughter counting coins at that mall, I was not afraid. They thought Lily was alone. They were wrong. And they were about to learn exactly what happens when you underestimate a mother who knows how to wait. The hardest part was pretending nothing had changed. Lily went to work, came home to the garage, followed every rule they set. She smiled when Evelyn watched. She apologized when Mark raised his voice. She kept her head down while I worked quietly in the background, turning their confidence into their greatest weakness. The investigator sent his first update within 48 hours. Photos of the garage from multiple angles, the air mattress on bare concrete, the space heater inches from fabric, no insulation, no bathroom access. Timestamps included. Weather reports attached to show temperature drops at night. Everything documented, everything clean. Next came video. Evelyn entering the garage when Lily was at work. Opening bins. Going through clothing. Removing cash from a jacket pocket and counting it slowly. Like she wanted Lily to know it had been found. Her voice was captured too. You cannot hide things from family, Evelyn said, especially not money. I closed my eyes and took a breath. Then I labeled the file and moved on. The bank records took longer, but they were worse. Lily had signed a limited access form months earlier, one that allowed Mark to help manage bills. Someone had altered it. The scope expanded. The language changed. Her digital signature appeared on documents she had never seen. Her paycheck deposits rerouted. Transfers made to accounts in Mark's name only. Cash withdrawals she never made. Forgery. Then the house. The property Lily and Mark had purchased together was still legally marital property. There was no lien, no mortgage. Yet it was being rented out. Monthly deposits appeared like clockwork. None of them went to Lily. That was not just abuse, that was theft. The most disturbing evidence came last. Audio from inside the house. Evelyn speaking to Noah while Lily was working late. Your mommy does not live with us because she does not make good choices, Evelyn said gently. She loves work more than you. A small voice answered. Does Mommy still love me? Of course she does, Evelyn replied. She just does not know how to show it. I stared at the transcript until the words blurred. That night, I met with Karen and laid everything out on her conference table. She did not interrupt. She did not soften her expression. When I finished, she leaned back slowly. This is one of the clearest cases of coercive control I have seen, she said. Financial abuse, parental alienation, unlawful exclusion from the marital home. And if these signatures are proven false, criminal fraud. How fast can we move? I asked. She smiled, but there was steel behind it. As fast as they fall apart. The next step was timing. We needed them comfortable. We needed them to believe Lily was still trapped, still powerless. 2 days later, Lily texted me. Evelyn says I am lucky they let me stay at all. I replied with a single sentence. Let her believe that. Because while Evelyn was busy proving her dominance, she was also documenting her own downfall. Every rule, every threat, every stolen dollar. They thought they were writing Lily's story. In reality, they were building the case that would destroy them. The morning of the hearing arrived quietly, the kind of calm that feels unnatural when you know something is about to break. I picked Lily up before sunrise. She wore the only professional dress she had left, a simple black one that hung loosely on her frame. She kept smoothing the fabric with nervous hands, as if trying to make herself look smaller. You do not have to be small today, I told her as we walked into the courthouse. She nodded, but I could see the fear in her eyes. Fear that one wrong word would cost her everything. Mark and Evelyn were already there, sitting with their attorney. Mark looked tired, but confident. Evelyn looked composed, almost smug, dressed in soft colors that made her appear gentle. She smiled when she saw Lily, the kind of smile meant for an audience. I watched carefully. That smile faded when Karen stepped forward and introduced herself as Lily's attorney. Evelyn's eyes flicked to Mark. He frowned. In the small conference room before the hearing, Karen placed a thick folder on the table. She did not raise her voice. She did not accuse. She simply opened it. Photographs of the garage. Video of Evelyn searching Lily's belongings. Bank statements with altered signatures highlighted. Rental deposits from the marital home redirected to Mark's private account. Audio transcripts of Evelyn speaking to Noah. The air changed. Mark leaned forward, his confidence draining. Evelyn opened her mouth, then closed it again. This is not accurate, she said finally. We were helping. Karen met her gaze calmly. You do not help someone by stripping them of financial access, isolating them from their child, and housing them in a garage while collecting rental income from their home. Mark turned to his attorney. He had started to sweat. Is this true? His attorney asked quietly. Mark did not answer. Karen slid one last document across the table. This signature does not match Lily's original filings. We have a handwriting expert prepared to testify. Evelyn's face went pale. The attorney exhaled slowly. If this goes before a judge, he said, you are facing serious consequences. Not just custody loss, potential criminal charges. Evelyn stiffened. This is unnecessary. We can talk about arrangements. Karen nodded. We are open to settlement. Today? The hearing itself was brief. The judge reviewed the emergency motion, the preliminary evidence, and Lily's statement. Lily's voice shook at first, then steadied as she described the garage, the money, the threats. The judge did not look at Evelyn kindly. Based on the evidence presented, I am granting temporary emergency custody to the mother, effective immediately. Lily gasped. Mark looked stunned. Supervised visitation only, the judge continued. No unsupervised contact, and a temporary restraining order preventing interference with the mother's finances or access to the child. The gavel came down softly. That sound changed everything. Outside the courtroom, Evelyn tried to speak. "This is not over," she said sharply. Karen turned to her. "It is for now. And if you violate a single term of this order, we will pursue criminal charges." Evelyn said nothing. Lily stood beside me, shaking. "Is it really happening?" she whispered. I squeezed her hand. "It already has." The settlement took hours, not because Mark and Evelyn had leverage, but because they were trying to hold on to dignity that no longer belonged to them. Every proposal they made was softer than the last. Every concession came with less argument. Power drains quickly once it is exposed. Karen stayed calm and precise. No raised voices, no threats, just facts placed carefully on the table, one after another, until there was nowhere left for denial to hide. By mid-afternoon, the agreement was finalized. Lily received full legal and physical custody of Noah, effective immediately. Mark was granted supervised visitation twice a month at a certified center, contingent on parenting classes and counseling. Any attempt to contact Lily outside those terms would be considered a violation of the court order. The house was returned to Lily in full. All rental income collected during the period of unlawful leasing was to be reimbursed. The bank accounts were restored to her control. The forged documents were nullified. A separate financial audit would follow. Evelyn received a permanent no-contact order. When Karen slid the final pages forward, Mark's hands trembled as he signed. He did not look at Lily. Evelyn stared straight ahead, her jaw tight, her silence louder than any protest. There was no celebration when it was over, just a quiet, stunned relief. 2 officers met us in the courthouse lobby to escort Lily to retrieve her son and her belongings. Procedure, they said. Protection. Evelyn opened the door when they arrived. Her eyes moved from the officers to Lily, then to me. "You cannot just take him," she said. "Actually," one of the officers replied evenly, "she can." Noah appeared behind her, clutching a small toy car. When he saw Lily, his face lit up. "Mommy!" He ran to her and she dropped to her knees, catching him in a hug so tight I thought she might never let go. We packed quickly. There was not much to pack. A few bags of clothes, a handful of toys, the air mattress from the garage. Mark stood in the driveway, hands shoved into his pockets. "I did not mean for it to go this far," he said quietly. Lily looked at him, not with anger, but with clarity. "You let it go this far," she said. "Every day." She buckled Noah into his car seat herself. For the first time in months, no one stopped her. The drive to the house was quiet. Noah talked about the swing in the backyard. Lily listened like she was relearning how to breathe. When we pulled up, the house looked the same as it always had. White siding. Front steps. The tree Lily had planted the year Noah was born. "Is this our home?" Noah asked. "Yes, baby," Lily said. "It is." That night, after Noah fell asleep in his own bed, Lily sat at the kitchen table and stared at her hands. "I keep waiting for someone to tell me I did something wrong," she said. "No one did," I replied. "You survived something that was designed to break you." She nodded slowly. For the first time, she did not sound afraid. She sounded free. 6 months passed, not all at once, but slowly, the way healing usually does. There was no single morning where Lily woke up and felt whole again. Instead, there were small moments that stitched her back together piece by piece. The first was the night she slept through without jolting awake, convinced she had missed a rule or broken one. She told me about it over coffee, surprised by her own laughter. The second was the day she opened her banking app and realized she no longer felt dread looking at the numbers. They were just numbers again, not weapons. The house began to feel like hers in a way it had not for a long time. She moved the furniture, repainted Noah's room, took down the security camera Mark had insisted on installing near the front door. Each change was small, but together they shifted the air. Noah changed too. At first, he stayed close to Lily, always within arm's reach. He asked where she would be sleeping every night. When she promised she would be in the room next to his, he made her repeat it. Over time, the questions faded. His laughter returned. The tightness in his shoulders eased. One afternoon, he asked her if she still loved her job. Lily paused before answering. "Yes," she said, "but I love being your mom more." He nodded, satisfied, as if something important had finally been corrected. Mark attended his supervised visits. The reports were neutral. He followed instructions. He listened more than he spoke. Maybe he was learning. Maybe he was simply afraid. Either way, Lily no longer centered her life around his progress. Evelyn tried twice to reach out through legal channels. Each attempt was met with a single response from Karen that cited the evidence still on file. After the second letter, the attempt stopped. One evening in early summer, we stood in the backyard while Noah chased fireflies. The air was warm. The tree Lily had planted cast long shadows across the grass. "I used to think I was weak," Lily said quietly. "That if I were stronger, this never would have happened." I shook my head. "This happened because you trusted people who chose control over care. That is not weakness. That is being human." She watched Noah run, his laughter clear and bright. "I was so afraid of losing him that I almost lost myself." "You found your way back," I said. "That matters." A few weeks later, Lily was promoted at work. Nothing dramatic. Just recognition she had earned long before everything fell apart. She told me she no longer apologized when she asked for what she needed. She no longer explained herself to fill silence. On Noah's 5th birthday, we hung a swing from the tree in the backyard. He wore a crooked paper crown and blew out his candles with a grin so wide it made my chest ache. When everyone left and the yard grew quiet, Lily stood beside me. "What did you wish for when you were 5?" she asked. I smiled. "Probably something I do not remember." She laughed softly. "I did not make a wish today." "Why not?" "Because I already have everything I need." She reached for my hand, and for a moment we stood there, 3 generations bound not by control or fear, but by choice. Later that night, after Noah was asleep, Lily sat alone in the living room. The lights were low. The house was quiet in a way that felt safe, not heavy. She told me something she had not said out loud before. "I thought silence would protect me," she said. "I thought if I endured it quietly, it would pass." I waited. Silence protects the person with power, not the one being hurt. She nodded. "I wish I had known that sooner." "You know it now." She looked up at me. "If anyone ever hears this story, I want them to understand something. Love should never make you smaller. Family should never require you to disappear, and fear is not loyalty." I felt tears sting my eyes. "That is the lesson," I said. "When someone takes your money, your voice, your space, and your child, that is not care. That is control, and control only survives in the dark. Lily leaned back and closed her eyes, breathing in the quiet of a life reclaimed. Outside, the tree rustled softly in the evening breeze. Inside, the house held steady, no longer a place of tension, but of rest. We had come a long way from the mall food court and the coins on a plastic table. We had come home. And this time, no one could take it away. If there is one lesson my life has taught me, it is this: silence is never safety. I watched my daughter believe that if she endured quietly, if she obeyed, if she made herself smaller, the storm would pass. It did not. It only grew stronger. Control feeds on fear, and fear grows in the dark. The moment truth is spoken, that power begins to crumble. Family is not defined by titles, bloodlines, or who holds the keys. Family is who protects you when you cannot protect yourself. Love does not isolate you. Love does not take your voice, your money, your dignity, or your child. And if it does, it is not love. What saved my daughter was not strength she suddenly discovered, but the courage to be seen and the refusal to stay silent one more day. If this story touched you, I want to ask you, what lesson did you take from it? And what city are you watching from right now?